This episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast is brought to you by the Distillery. Hey everybody, I'm Perry. This is my Bourbon Podcast. Welcome back to another week. And it's Christmas time. Yay. Okay, nobody's excited but me.
Oh, no, I'm super excited. I just didn't know where you wanted me to go with it.
No, it's fine.
Snuck up on me, man. I'm sorry.
It snuck up on
The
all
Christmas-
of us, apparently.
yeah, for real.
Yeah. I was sitting down with Curtis and Swan tonight and doing something a little bit special. We're doing... You know, Swan, you called it Pappy holidays, but I realized that we're going to be drinking Van Winkle and not...
Yeah, it's close enough. I mean, I was excited, you know.
It's okay. Well, we're doing Pappy holidays, so we're going to be doing a little side-by-side comparison of the Van Winkle 12-year Lot B and then Weller 12-year as well. Sorry. So this is going to be kind of cool, but to get started, of course, we're going to do Flying Blind, where I blind the co-hosts with a sample.
With a blindfold.
With a blindfold.
The blindfold.
Which
yeah, I
Swan
got the
really
wrong
wanted to-
impression.
Yeah.
And it was going to be one of those things where you put the blindfold on, spin me around 5 times, same a glass of bourbon, but
Yeah.
no.
We came into the studio and he goes, so where's the blindfolds at? Swan, we don't actually have blindfolds.
Oh, man.
Good addition, though. Maybe.
We'll make it happen eventually.
I'll bring my own next time. It's fine.
I didn't realize that you had invested in such a fancy enough blindfold that
Oh,
you
yeah.
felt that you needed to come.
Different colors as well, you know, one for every shirt.
Ah,
Yes, I got it.
Okay. Oh, also, I guess I should probably point out where we are. This is the first official recording of an episode in the new house and in the bourbon room or studio, whatever you
Whatever
prefer
you
to
wanna
call it. I prefer studio, personally, but it is very much a bourbon room. So, yeah, this is kind of cool. I like this.
Yeah, it's
What?
different.
It's
I like
very
it.
different.
You might want to get, like, reinforced locks on here.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
On this room.
It's a good thing not many people know
Man.
where we live.
True.
Can we get one of those doors that's like a bookshelf? You pull the book.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Like a built-in...
That would be really
yeah.
cool.
That'd be awesome.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm totally on
Like,
board
make
with that.
the doorway actually the bookshelf, so it just looks like it's a bookshelf.
Mhm.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do it. I like that.
So, Flying Blind here. Curtis and Swan do not know what I have poured for them. And what are you guys picking up on the nose there?
It's light.
Yeah, it's pretty light. I'm not getting a ton, but
Yeah, not a lot of spice, not
Mm-mm.
a ton of nose. Sweet.
Where the nose lacks, I would say that the palate kind of picks it up
Picks it up.
a
Okay.
little bit. Swan's been taking some time off too from bourbon, so it's going to be interesting to see how he tastes things tonight.
yeah, I'm the baby bourbon boy part 2. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of Four Roses
Interesting.
a little bit, but it's a little like punchier than Four Roses.
Mm-hmm. I have really been into some Four Roses recently.
Oh yeah, some of the picks are great. It makes
Yeah.
me want to pick up one every time I find one that's cast strength. But
Yeah.
I actually haven't had Four Roses in a long time.
Well, guess what? There's some on the bar. Maybe
Hey, well, there we go.
We can pull some down for you.
you mean on the studio, Perry?
Yes, on set
It's a bar, studio, and a bourbon room.
and a bourbon.
It's impressive.
It's the threefold room. Yeah, I think overall this is a pretty good quality. I mean, like this to me kind of would be a good everyday.
Yeah, it's
cider, I would
very
say.
solid. I want the nose to be better, but like you were saying, when you get it on the palate, that's when it starts to kind of open up and have more of those bolder, spicy
Yeah,
kind of notes.
for sure.
It's missing the hug, which I usually attribute to like higher proof,
Yeah.
but it's definitely not super low.
Mm-mm. It's low enough though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at the stopping point for me. on like what I prefer for my everyday pours or whatever. So, any guesses on what you guys think this might be?
I don't know. I feel like it's Four Roses or Wild Turkey, but I'm not 100% sure.
I always have a tough time with guessing.
I know. Well, it's okay. It's just regular old Weller Special Reserve.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. I figured since we were doing a couple of, heavy hitting
Heavy
weeders.
hitters, yeah.
Heavy hitter
Well,
weeders.
this is going to be fun. I was really
Heavy
wrong.
hitting.
Yeah, I figured that would be a good way to kind of warm up the palates and
Yeah.
get the ball rolling.
It's definitely quality, but
Sure.
I definitely wouldn't have pegged it as
Special reserve. Yeah.
Which
I
is
don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like it.
Which I also feel like there's a little bit of the hype, A little of the hype being like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
now
I
that we
mean-
didn't know, we were flying blind on it, I'm kind of like,
I mean, when you see this is going in some places for, $100 a handle,
yeah,
there's
there's no way.
there's absolutely no way. I mean, it's just flat out not good enough
No.
to pay that much money unless this is just the best thing you've ever had and you have all the money in the world to throw away. By all means, go ahead and do that. But as far as I'm concerned, this is not a $100
No, not even
bottle
close.
of bourbon.
I see more people lining up to buy this that don't drink bourbon than I would ever expect. Like, people will line up like, oh, my husband likes bourbon. This is special. I'm going to
Yes.
get this. Or, my wife wants something that's a little sweeter, and I want to get something that's awesome and weeded at the same time. And
Yeah.
it's crazy how many people line up for it that don't drink bourbon.
Well, and it's still, I think, kind of one of those quintessential stepping stones past your makers and your Woodfords too. And I mean, to that point about makers, it is also a weeded bourbon. So if you are looking for some of those sweeter notes in a flavor profile, Special Reserve is going to be a good way to kind of expand beyond that. Now, is it the best weeded bourbon? No. I would say I think honestly I would rather drink Larceny over Special Reserve.
I could see that. It's been a while since I've touched Larceny, but
Well, guess
time-
what? There's some in the bourbon closet.
Everything's in
There's
that
like
closet.
10 bottles of it.
Yeah.
You're in luck.
There's plenty in that closet, man. It's funny seeing bottles that I found, and I'm like, Perry could probably do more with this. And then it's just like, it's all in one
there.
giant closet.
And I
Like,
did more
well,
with
maybe
it.
not.
Anyway, yeah, I just thought that was a nice little way to kind of kick off the show. So is everybody ready to move on then to, I guess what's going to be the main event, kind of, a little bit?
Kind
I
of.
don't know. This is what people are here to listen to, right?
Yeah.
It's all about those numbers. Just kidding. Yeah, anyway.
Speaking of numbers, we made it to 20,000.
We made it to 20,000 downloads.
man.
How insane is that?
For sure.
Yeah, thank you all
might
so
not,
much.
You might have just downloaded and not listened, but hey, we like that too.
Well, the craziest thing about that, too, is that did you just knock a bottle over? your phone.
Yeah,
It's all good.
Van Winkle is all over the floor.
It's on the floor. The dog's licking it up.
Oh, I'd cry. Can't do that.
The crazy thing about that download count, though, is that we hit 10,000 in August.
Yeah.
And
so we
it's
made up
December
a huge
now.
number, yeah.
So 4 months later, we doubled our numbers, which is just unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
So thank you guys,
Great.
everybody who listens to the show, of course, and supports us every week, and sticks with us through weeks where there are not episodes, which rarely happens. But
Or when Perry sleeps through them.
Yeah, I was waiting on that the other morning.
So here's the thing. So last week's episode came out later in the day because, yes, I did fall asleep while I was editing it. And I at first thought what happened was that I had stopped it at one point to like check my phone or get a drink of water or whatever and just fell asleep. No, I fell asleep listening to it. So the entire
Perry's own voice lulled him asleep.
So, I mean, my big mistake was editing in bed. I was like all propped up and everything. I was comfortable. I mean, it's the same reason like why you never did homework in bed when you were in college, right?
What's
You know.
homework?
Oh, I made that mistake way
Yeah.
too much.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did too.
yeah.
But anyway, I woke up at 4:30 and I
Wow.
was like, "What the heck happened?" So anyway, I had to scramble to get last week's episode out and everything. It still made it
Awesome.
out.
Yeah, no. for
It's
sure.
not like I had to skip a week. It actually came out. It was just later than
Yeah.
intended. I'm done explaining.
Yeah,
myself.
back on the rails. Let's get this train back.
So as we kind of get these pours rolling, you guys got to tell me what you've been drinking recently.
I've been having a Wilderness Trail, just the regular, and then I had some Wild Turkey, the rare breed. I've got kind of a special bottle of it that I've been trying to get through and drink. This is my second one actually.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. It's just a little different, but
I have been drinking Wilderness Trace. I have the rye. Wilderness Trail, sorry. Wilderness Trail. Where did I get Trace at? Buffalo Trace
oh no,
combination.
they
Yeah.
tried it apparently. They've got a barrel head in their distillery that says that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I believe that they tried to do that for their name, but Buffalo Trace came for them and
That's exactly what
and
happened.
switched it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been having a Wilderness Trail, and I have the rye, but I haven't had it yet.
Ah,
Yeah, so
Okay.
that'll be exciting to try. And then the Jim Beam Bonded that we had.
oh yeah. Did you wind up going up and picking up a bottle?
No, you gave me the
Oh
leftover.
yeah,
of
that's
it,
right. I did give
and so I've
that
been
was the
having
that was the leftover from what you gave me, which I then
yeah.
gave to Curtis.
That stuff's
I
so
forgot about
underrated.
Oh, it's
It's-
so underrated.
Yeah, it's
very
really good.
Yeah.
They got their whole lineup, and it's like nobody's gonna touch that one out of the lineup, and it's my favorite.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it's fabulous. I still love Distiller's Cut too. Don't get me wrong, but there really just kind of seems to be something special about that bottle of Bond
Yeah.
product. I don't know.
Bottle and bonds in general, we've
Yeah,
talked about.
we've harped on it for forever. Yeah. So, I have a funny story about what I've been drinking, but before I get to that, like I was saying, I've really been enjoying some Four Roses recently. I picked up a barrel pick from Liquor Barn that is fantastic. My moving into the house pour was a pre-fire Heaven Hill bottled of Bond, which was really good. I had it on the stream last week too with Chad. But then, so, all right, strap in, kids, because this is a humdinger of a story. My family and Lucy's family, we do Christmas for like 2 weeks, basically. Like, there are just so many Christmases that we have to go to. And so last night was our first one. And it was at her grandparents' house. And her aunt, who is a wonderful, wonderful person, didn't have her glasses on when she was at home and was going to pick out a bottle of wine and didn't know what she picked when she was down in her cellar. So we get over to Lucy's grandparents' house, and I'm looking on their kitchen counter, and I see this bottle of wine, and I'm like, oh, that label looks really familiar, and I pick it up, and it's a Dom Perignon bottle.
Oh,
I'm like, is this really what I think it is? And sure enough, she just grabbed a bottle of Dom Perignon from 1990
oh no.
that she and her husband had gotten for a special occasion.
Not so special occasion.
She had already mixed it with cranberry juice too before I pointed it out.
I'm gonna have a Pappy and Coke next time.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, I was just dying laughing. And she's like, well, it's open. Everybody's going to have some Dom. So we all just had this. It was a very strange moment, but we all just had this toast in the middle of Lucy's grandparents' house of Dom Perignon. It's like $100
wild.
bottle of wine. And Lucy's dad, Brett, looked up to see how much that would actually cost now, since it was from 1990.
Yeah.
It's like $400.
I'm sure.
So we had like a $400
That
bottle
hurts.
of wine for Christmas.
That's wild. Speaking of wine, I've been drinking a lot more wine lately.
Have you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Nothing special. but
Anything in
just
particular, like a Pinot or a Cab?
a
or,
cab.
Yeah. I really do like Cabernet.
I love
Quite a bit.
Cabernets.
Yeah.
They're just like, I mean, it's because it's attributed to more of those bourbon kind of, you get
Oh
more
yeah,
of the
yeah, absolutely.
darker, leathery chocolate.
Have you had the Mondavi cab that's aged in bourbon barrels?
I haven't had that one, but I've had one that's aged in bourbon barrels called Augment.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard of it.
Augment's pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't. I'm not really a super
we're not wine people.
Yeah, I'm not.
This isn't my wine podcast.
Yeah, like it's a $12 bottle of wine.
Sure.
Tasted all right to me.
I think I've talked about this on the show before with Chad and Sarah, but there's a red blend called Southern Belle. That's aged in Pappy barrels. And I mean, it is kind of like a gimmicky hype thing, but I mean, it's still good.
Mm-hmm.
I still like it. It's only $20 a bottle.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Wine's been a fancy of mine lately. I don't know. I don't know why, but it's been
are we
happening.
losing you?
No,
no,
not
are
at
you
all.
going to the dark side?
No, not at all.
Okay, good. Swan, do you want to pour up the Van Winkle? I've got the Weller 12
Yeah, sure.
ready to go. And I figure we'll do you want to do left to right? Wait, hold on. Do you do Weller on the left and Van Winkle on the right?
Van Winkle on the right.
Van Winkle on the right.
Okay.
Yes.
My right-hand man.
Now, I got to be honest. I have always kind of said that I've liked Weller 12 over Van Winkle 12. And, I mean, I have a little bit left. We've talked about this, Kurt, you and I have. I have a little bit left of the 2016 Van Winkle Lot B left. And just overall, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I've always been really kind of blown away by Weller 12. So, I don't know. This will be an interesting comparison.
Yeah, this one's the 2017, so we'll see if it's any different than your 2016.
Are we directly comparing?
We're playing Edward 40 hands
Yeah.
with the pours
Well,
here.
you both kind of had just like double fist in both glasses, and I was like,
Well, the only reason I did it is because the table's
Are we,
further
like-
away from me than it
Yeah.
is you guys.
like, are we like mixing, swishing, and
It's been a while. I just felt like I'd copy Perry, so here we are.
I'm more seasoned now. I'm a veteran now. Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, he's done a few more podcasts than I have.
Honestly, right off the bat, there isn't a huge difference on the nose, I would say.
yeah,
The Weller for me is jumping out a little bit more. Not a whole
I
lot.
was thinking the same thing, just a little bit.
Like the nose is really close, but the 12's just jumping out of the glass a little bit more.
I think the 12 has more oak on it.
That's probably what's jumping out.
Excuse me. The Weller has more oak on it. They're both 12. They're both 12s.
I knew what you meant. Probably.
I just didn't want to confuse the listeners because they can't see us.
Oh yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think, though, that where the Weller nose is a little bit more complex, it seems to me that the Van Winkle nose is actually a little bit more mellow and enjoyable. Like it's not as much of a thinker, I would say.
It's weird too because I've had people tell me pretty frequently that have tried this because I take this to Christmas and I let everybody drink it whether they're a huge bourbon drinker or not. Everyone tells me they usually go for the Pappy or the Van Winkle 12 just because it's kind of more of a beginner friendly thing.
Okay.
Which is strange because usually you don't attribute super hard to find, rare stuff to this is something you could give to somebody that's never had bourbon and they're going to be fine with
They
it.
really like it. Yeah.
To that point, though, Swan, I don't know if it's necessarily it's definitely not a beginner.
No, it's
But
just not offensive.
No, I think that it, again, falls into that category of a stepping stone or a next step kind of drink.
I could see that. Because when I first started, getting a little more accustomed to bourbon, I couldn't handle Booker's. I think I told you that. I picked up 2017-2, and I was like, Perry, I can't handle this. I'm gonna have to give you this bottle because I just can't do it. And then
No. It wasn't that. It was that Elijah Craig barrel proof.
Yeah,
You finished that Booker's.
yeah, I did. No, you're right. It was a barrel proof, but it was also 136 proof and super complex and hard for me to handle.
Do you think it's weeders that are kind of this like next stepping stone type?
I think to a degree, yeah. Because they have such a distinctly different flavor profile from rye mash bills. And it is of course presenting new and genuine flavors that you won't have with a rye mash bill, but going back to what Swan said, yeah, it's not really offensive.
Yeah, no,
to your
it's not.
palate. I mean,
Both of them aren't.
yeah. I mean,
Both of them are very similar.
they really are. And you know what's funny? I'm kind of leaning towards the Van Winkle right now.
Really?
I am. The Van Winkle seems to have a little bit more of a. I'm the way I'm reading it is as like a baked goods or like as a cookie.
Yeah.
Kind of quality
I'm getting
to
a
it.
little more. It's just more nuanced.
Good word.
Thanks.
That's a great word actually for it.
I think that it's just a little more nuanced than the 12-year. The Van Winkle it smooths it out a little bit. The mouth feels a little better.
I'm leaning towards what you guys said, and it's weird because I was kind of like Perry. I always thought I'd prefer the Weller 12 over the Van Winkle. But for me, like the Weller 12, it hits you with a really, really good note, and there's some kind of change up in it, but not a ton, and then the finish is a little stronger maybe than the Van Winkle. But with the Van Winkle, it's like it hits you with a flavor and then kind of has a slight switch in the center, to something. I'm having trouble picking it up. And the finish isn't quite as bold, but it's still there.
No, I agree with you. The way that I'm understanding this personally right now, and this is having gone back and forth between the two of them a couple of times, rather. It seems like the Van Winkle is filling in the spots that the Weller can't seem to.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite realize it until I went from the Van Winkle to the Weller, because then when I had the Weller, it felt like I was missing something there.
Mm. And I think that's what, when we were talking about, we're probably, like on the nose, we were getting more of the oak kind of smell. I think that was kind of covering up what we were wanting and missing that the Van Winkle gives. I think the oak is, I think the 12-year is the Weller 12-year is really nice, but I think that extra barrel note kind of covers and masks some of the...
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it?
That's what I think.
I see what you're saying, though, is that it keeps you from getting that full experience. But at the same time, though, I don't think that the Weller has everything that the Van Winkle does. I can understand why the Van Winkle's the Van Winkle and the Weller is the Weller, knowing Buffalo Trace's their system for choosing what barrels are going to be Van Winkle versus Weller. There's of course. I mean, unless we're talking about
and what is that
barrels.
process? Just to
So what they'll do is, they'll do one of two things. They'll either take it out and go, oh, that's really good, but it needs to age a little bit longer, and then put it back in the rick house, and then that will wind up becoming Pappy. Or they'll pull one of these barrels and go, oh, that's more like Weller, and think that it's, fitting the Weller profile, and then that's actually what winds up on the shelves.
Oh, okay.
So I can see where this would be like, directly comparing the two. I can see where the Weller 12 could have been like a point of contention for some people. That being said, this is one of the better Weller 12s I think I've
Yeah, it's a
I've
good
had.
one.
Yeah, I liked with the Weller 12, I get more oak, like he said, to kind of it masks up a little bit of stuff, but it's still fantastic. And
And maybe
compared to
that's
the Special
sorry, go ahead.
Reserve, it's still like, it's
Oh yeah,
fantastic.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's a little bit of a signifier. You were saying that they go, oh, this fits the profile more of a Weller 12 than a Van Winkle 12 Lot B.
Yeah.
Maybe that's on purpose. I'm sure it probably.
Oh
is.
yeah, I'm sure too.
I get like a strong vanilla off the Van Winkle that I
Yeah.
don't see show up in the Weller
And I
as much.
think that's why I'm reading that as like a cookie, or like a sugar cookie or something like that, because that vanilla note is so prominent.
Yeah.
Here's something we need to think about too, though. Is because we've been talking about how they're so similar, the two of them, but Weller 12 is what, $30 to $40.
Mm-hmm.
Van Winkle 12 is $75.
Yeah, and that's provided you find it at retail,
Sure.
which could be like a point of contention for either one of these because you don't find hardly either of these
Yeah.
at retail.
My point though is that with these two bourbons being so similar, is the price difference justified?
For me, no.
I don't really think it is either.
No, I'd pick up 2 or 3 bottles of Weller 12 before I went for the Lot B again.
And the difference is how much and how much again?
The Weller 12 goes for like 30 to 40. Van Winkle 12 is like 75 to 80.
It's literally about double.
Yeah. Even though you're getting virtually
Yeah.
the same product from the same distillery, same age, same proof.
Yeah, I mean, I'd buy the Weller 12 before.
Oh, I think I would too. I mean, but that's just more of a. I think we're talking at that point too about like cost effectiveness as opposed to overall quality. Would I still like to own another bottle of Van Winkle 12? Yeah, absolutely. But I think that you can't go wrong with Weller 12 as not necessarily a replacement for it, but maybe more so an alternative
Yeah.
to the Van Winkle 12. They're both really good, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if somebody gave me a phone call and told me I want a thing of Van Winkle 12, I'd be all over that.
that's happened to me before.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Funny thing. Yeah.
Because it was Swan that probably. I
Yeah.
was like, hey, man, you want
No, so Perry got drawn at the place that I work, and
okay.
there was 5 bottles, and I walked over, and of course, their tiny little wine and spirits shop was just flooded with people waiting to hear their name called.
And I wasn't there.
And he wasn't
My own
there.
time.
Yeah, you were at Maker's Mark, I think, doing
Mhm.
something.
We were coming back from the Maker's Candlelight Tour, and we were actually in Bardstown.
Yeah,
We were at the. We were eating dinner. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
Doesn't
and
matter.
as soon as I walked in, they called all these names, and I'm like, "Damn it, Barry, you didn't win." And I texted him, and he's like, "Oh, it's no big deal." And then the second I got done with that phone, like that text message, he got a phone call from Myron, who works there, and he's like, "Hey, you got a 12? When are you going to be able to pick it up?" And Perry just lit up. Like, my phone was just blowing up. Like, I want it. You lied to me. I'm going to be there.
I was like, "What? What do you mean I didn't win?"
be
I
there
thought
in 30
I
minutes.
legitimately did think you were pulling my leg for a little bit.
No, I'm just generally clueless. So that's where it came from. So, but hey, I'm glad you
enough.
won, man.
Yeah, me too. Thanks.
Yeah, it was the first time that I've gone for any sort of Pappy at all, and one of us won. So I was all
That was
for
when
that.
Swan truly became the bourbon finder.
Actually, I did that because of you. Unfortunately, because at one point,
What, you became the bourbon finder because of me?
yes,
Yeah, I know. I remember.
because you were like, if you can find any Weller, let me know. So I
Uh-huh.
went into like every single shop when I turned 21 looking for Weller, and I was like, if I find it, I'm gonna get 2 bottles because I want one, and I'm gonna get one for Perry.
And lo and behold.
And I found one, and another, and other
Nice.
stuff, and then just kept doing it. But
Now he's Instagram famous.
something like that. But I don't know. It's been fun. I mean, now I find all sorts of different stuff other than just Weller.
You found me like an Elmer T. Lee at one point too, I think.
Yeah, Elmer T. Lee. I've gotten a lot of stuff for Chad as well.
Oh yeah.
I lack in the dusty category, though. You find a lot of those that I can't seem to...
I don't know how that happens. I mean, honestly, it's just one of those things where it's like in the right store at the right time.
Yeah.
And
Which is ridiculous because sometimes it's like a few years, like multiple years old.
yeah.
And you're like, oh, I found this from 1990.
Yeah.
What, Perry? It's 2018, and you just found something from 1990.
And it's like a flip just switched in your head. Or
A switch.
There you go. I
Yeah,
messed
that one.
up.
No,
I
it's
got
all
it.
good.
Flip switched in your head. Because we were looking for, what was it? Old Fits, Baldwin and Bond. And and then from like then on, it was like once a week. It's like, oh, check out this pre-fire that I found from 1990.
Okay,
and I'm
it
like,
wasn't like that extreme, but your point's made though.
yeah, and it was insane. But I'm all for it. I think we started finding those, and then like the age-stated Knob Creeks and stuff, which just put out a new label, which looks awesome.
Oh, it's
by the
so
way.
pretty.
Yeah, but
Here, Kurt, I'll show it to you too while we're sitting here.
Yeah, I mean, just to go back to the Weller 12 and the Van Winkle. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's nice.
It's a lot better than what it was.
Yeah.
I would say.
It's just so, I mean, it's so similar.
It really
if
is. It's just
There is a difference. I'm not going to, I'm going to say that the Van Winkle is better. Or it's just different. I can't say it's better.
But is it a 100% price increase?
No, I don't think
Difference.
it's not a
I don't
100%
think so either.
price increase. Weller 12 for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's. I know that was a little bit of a short, like, main segment, but we still have some really good stuff.
Yeah, we do.
That's sitting on the table too. So I'm gonna. Speaking of pre-fire, there's actually a pre-fire sitting on the table, and it's an age-stated fighting cock from the Heaven Hill Distillery pre-fire, 6 years old.
We could do it.
Do you guys want to try some pre-fire bourbon?
I mean, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, I mean, free fire for sure. It's tough because I have still have leftover 12 and leftover Van Winkle. I'm like, I want to shoot this.
Just
man.
mix them. Just mix them together.
You think?
No, don't do that.
I was about to say. I was like, Perry.
So, for anybody who doesn't know what pre-fire means, in 1996, Heaven Hill experienced a pretty devastating fire on their distillery premises, and lost. Oh gosh, how many rick houses was it? Like 5 or 6 or something.
It was a lot. Yeah, if they want more info, I think it's Bourbon Night actually did like an infographic on it.
They did, yeah. They did like a whole video on it. So that's actually I'll link that below in the description. People kind of go crazy though over pre-fire stuff, and I don't know if it's
the
like
nostalgia. I feel
it is, and it's just like the whole novelty of it and everything. But
the story behind it that you can tell.
yeah, and I mean I don't know.
Plus,
if
it sounds kind of cool.
Sure, and I don't know if there's
it's pre-fire, man.
That's a weird flex, but okay.
I've heard people do it.
Are you talking about me?
No.
Okay.
Actually not.
Anyway, they go kind of crazy over it just in the fact that, I don't know if there's like a market difference or anything, but, it's just a cool thing to have and to be able to say that you have had too. And I think it's very interesting at the very least.
Yeah, no.
It's a conversation starter. Ooh, it smells funky.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said, because I was thinking the same thing.
I got a question about that. Not super experienced in the dusty area. Is it funky because that's just how it came out of the barrel, or is it funky because it sat around for that long?
I think it's funky because it sat around for a little while. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it could have been that it's because of how it came out of the barrel, but honestly, I'm not well versed enough in that field to be able to say one way or another. I mean, people like Eddie Russell swear up and down that nothing's been changed.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
just
in the
strange.
process.
Like it's like you pick up notes of stuff in other, like the stuff we just did, but this is like one solid note of like funk, oak, caramel,
Yeah.
just hitting you like
exactly.
a brick wall.
A little
I don't.
dust
It's
and must.
it's strange, but it's
At least it doesn't smell like mothballs. I mean, at
Yeah.
the very least. I mean, it could be much, much worse.
yeah.
What was the one weird note I had last time? Watermelon?
Watermelon. You had
Yeah.
watermelon.
Yeah, I was questioning that one a little bit.
Harry, if you say you smell watermelon on this,
It smells like marzipan.
It's actually an interesting. I want.
Sorry, that was... We give Fred Minnick a lot of crap for saying he smells marzipan and tastes marzipan on certain bourbons.
Oh, okay.
There's
I
one.
like it though. That's
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's one worse. There's like treacle. Have you heard of that one?
No.
Yeah. It's
What does that mean?
I mean, like
that's the thing. I don't know. I don't think the people saying it know what it means. Like,
You can't just make up words.
yeah, they're making stuff up.
I guess, you know, all words are made up, though.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah, that's really about it on the nose. It's just kind of the funk.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
funk,
won't be-
marzipan, treacle.
I'll be honest with you, though.
I will say
don't,
I'm
I don't
getting-
mind it.
Yeah, and after I kept pretty much nosing the shit out of this, I started to get a little almond.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that, like an almond butter.
I was going to say, I
Yeah.
think it's more almond butter. And actually, on the palate, it's very
I haven't-
almond butter heavy.
Okay, I haven't tasted it yet.
Sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit. Look, I think it's really good.
Yeah, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really strange. It hits the front of the palate, and it's just all sweet and friendly, and then it
Uh-huh.
starts to kind of like blow up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
but I'm still getting a lot of those nutty notes.
Yeah.
I don't want to like attest it to peanuts.
No, I think it's more
But
almond
it's
than
more
it is.
almond. Like there's a significant, or like cashew. It's like a significant.
Oh, okay.
difference.
Yeah. I just think this is so good. I mean, really. I honestly, I feel like I would pick this out of a blind flight between the three things that we've already had on the show.
See,
By
I
far.
wanted to say that, but I didn't want to be that bold after coming off a section of no
It's okay.
drinking. It's really good.
Yeah.
And it sucks, too, because I've had the regular Fighting Cock that's on the shelf now. And
Which is,
it's-
and that's okay.
It's okay. You can tell that it's kind of made to be the competition for, Wild Turkey 101.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is. And this just stands completely in its own lane from, Wild Turkey 101.
And the finish is so good too. The finish is when it starts to kind of go into like some of those floral notes.
Mm-hmm.
The caramel continues over too. The almond butter kind of plays around a little bit as
I
well.
think it fades away though a little bit,
It does, yeah, but
which I'm fine with because you get so much on the front.
sure, yeah. And I think that some of those woodier notes too kind of become apparent towards the end of the palate, into the finish. The hug's real nice too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very gentle, like Kentucky hug, but
It's like a Kentucky side hug. It's great.
it's not awkward though.
Yeah, it's not an awkward side hug. It's
No.
that acquaintance and you're just like,
God, I hate side hugs.
hey, but you're like a
I
friend
hate
of
them
mine.
so much. They're just the most awkward thing in the entire world. It's like commit to it or just don't do it at all.
True, I'm not
know
as
what I mean?
hateful on it. I've given a few side hugs in my day.
We've all been there.
Yeah,
I,
we've
I
all
mean,
been there.
I have too, but I think I've given them out of necessity and not out of preference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Why is this tickling you so bad?
I don't know, man. I'm starting to realize my tolerance has gone way down.
Oh, well, you got a lot ahead of you, so you better
We got plenty more.
strap in.
Oh, I'm sleeping in the closet tonight.
Wake up, there's like 6 bottles just killed.
If there had to be a way
Swan,
to
what did
go,
you do?
it'd be that closet, man.
I haven't shared too many images of the closet with anybody, but Patreon saw it a few days ago.
Oh,
yeah.
that's good. Somebody needs to know.
Patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast.
I'm a patron now, guys. It's fantastic. Extra content's worth it. Trust me.
And as the time as of the time that this episode comes out, too, there will have been the very first bonus episode over on Patreon as well, where Curtis and I kind of taste some leftovers for our best of 2018.
Yeah.
And then finish out with 2017.
2017.
Weller.
Yeah. Which that was awesome.
And is actually also sitting on the table right now
Yeah.
in front of us.
I saw that.
Final thoughts on the on.
Jeez, Perry, you have plenty left.
I know I have plenty left,
Compared to
Curtis.
what I had. I had nothing.
Yeah, I've never had it. I've only had larceny at his house. Pretty good, but
Pretty great larceny.
yeah, it was really good stuff. The difference in color of the stag's crazy. We also have that sitting on the table, but it's
Yeah, that's this year's George C. Stack sitting in front of us as well. Well, final thoughts real quick on the age-stated pre-fire fighting cock.
would buy again.
I would absolutely buy this again.
Yeah.
So much better than what's on the shelf right now.
I have a hard time thinking of something that's on the shelf right now that has a nose that's like this pungent.
With the nose, I don't think, like, you're obviously not. I think that nose is a little more, like, pre-fire kind of stuff. Because out of like the older, dust on the
Yeah,
bourbons we've had, they always have a little bit of this.
weirdness to
Yeah,
it.
you just like cock your head and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's fair. I think overall though that the funk doesn't keep me from
No, this
enjoying it.
is the first one that I've been. The nose, other than the funk, I'm like, see, but something's shining through here. Buy it if you can.
Buy it if you can find it. Or move house and then have a really good friend who just gives you a bottle of free pre-fire. So I have a question. Do we want to have what's on the table, or do we want to go to the surprise?
That's not the surprise.
Yeah,
That's
what's
not
the
the surprise.
surprise then, Perry? What do you? I don't know.
I have no idea. I brought Van Winkle, and I was like, this is going to be great. Kurt's not going to know. And then he's like, I've got Pre-Fire, Heaven Hill, Fighting Cock. And I'm like, this is fantastic. What surprise are you talking about? I kind of want to see that.
Are you ready for the surprise?
But I
then?
don't. I also here's a question. Here's a counter question, Perry. Do we want to see the surprise first before we try this?
This is a very classic door A or door B question. I don't know which one to go with.
Let me say this. The surprise could go into and could play well with what's on the table right now.
So we should do it before.
We could do it with.
Show me the surprise.
Okay.
Perry's over here just like, "Mer, mer, mer."
It's the 2018
No
WLW.
Holy shit! Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. It's
How?
this year's
How did you do this?
William LaRue Weller. Yeah.
Perry, you are spoiling.
It had the paper on it, too. I think we just lost Swan.
Are you crying?
You didn't have to tell him, Kurt.
Oh, man. No, this is how.
I've never. Yeah. Wow. That's all. What we have on this table right now is just. You will never find that.
I just want to point out that I am choosing to open this instead of resell it for $400.
Yeah, I had to make that decision with Chad, too. It's a hard one to make. It's a little rough.
Once you know what the secondary price is, you kind of have to
It's
go,
tough.
what's better, me enjoying it or me having more money? And personally, I would rather enjoy it. So we could do all three of them side by side.
Oh, like the stag, too?
Oh, yeah. So I don't think we're actually going to do like a review of this
No.
necessarily, which, I mean, we reviewed last year's. It's fine, we don't have to do all of this again. But I did feel the need to document this for Patreon. So, hello, Patreon. Of course, over there. You both are like, so we're about to do a fresh crack on the William LaRue Weller 2018 BTAC.
What a
And,
beaut. What a
I'm so
beaut.
excited.
I look at the old one and I'm like, what a beaut. But I look at this one and I say, what a beaut.
So we're going to do a three-way side-by-side between this, last year's Weller, and this year's George T. Stagg as well. So, Swan, if you need to stay on the couch tonight, it's okay, buddy.
Maybe. We'll find out. We'll find out.
All right. You ready? Perfect.
Perfect indeed.
Real cork.
So, is this your first time comparing the last year's to this year, like directly?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
I think it would
interested.
have to be, right?
Yeah.
We just opened it. We just opened it.
Well, I mean, Chad has this year's,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and I've had that with him and
Had it
Sarah.
already?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's fine. No, I wouldn't.
Nah,
This guy.
this guy.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Anyway, I've had this year, and I actually, of course, had this year's Stag as well. Had them side by side, but I've not had last year's WLW with this year's. So
I'm interested because, like, a lot of people have said that they
Swan,
prefer.
kind of like
I'm just excited, man. Like, a lot of people said they prefer last year's over this year's.
I've said that too.
Yeah, but I've not seen anybody do them side by side. It's just somebody saying they prefer it. So.
Yeah.
Well, let's stop talking
Let's
about
do
it. Let's
it.
get to it.
Okay. So Swan said that he wanted to pour for himself, so I'm going to let everybody kind of pour
Oh,
for
okay.
themselves.
Well, then I'll just take this one. You guys can have the other one.
Patreon just saw some good stuff.
Patreon's getting.
No, they're getting a present, but they also just saw me try to pour something into a
With the
glass with
cork
the cork in.
It's like Christmas came early. Well, I guess Christmas kind of came.
It's a good
This is
thing
the day
Christmas
after
did
Christmas
come
that this
early.
is coming out. So. I mean, you just can't go wrong with that nose.
Yeah, I'd love
So
a
the-
candle made out of this.
Give me 100 candles.
Yeah.
So, for anybody who is maybe new to the show, this was our second review ever on the podcast, and which was a ridiculous thing that we
We did.
did,
But,
but it's what happens, I guess. So, anyway, I haven't really played up a whole lot of the holiday portion of this very much.
Yeah, we are. New Year's. I'm feeling it, man. It's great.
I'm not entirely sure what you just said.
there's
but
something.
anyway.
This is the best nose I've ever had.
Oh no, it absolutely is.
Just
It's so floral. It's so classic. It's so just everything that you want there to be
Yeah.
in a bourbon.
mm-hmm.
And I'm such a fan.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan of this.
And I don't even want to go on. I just want to. I want to go on with life. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to go on with
Overhyping it, over talking about it.
No, just to be, I don't want to drink it because I'm I want to come back to it because I know that this is going to be my favorite.
Stay tuned. The answer might surprise you. Anyway, I'm gonna say
Okay.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. Cheers, and Hanukkah too. Swan killed his.
Yep.
I didn't pour that much,
Fair enough.
but this is awesome.
Holy moly, it's so good. Oh,
I don't know how, but this has a Kentucky hug that takes its time. It sits in your mouth,
Yeah.
and then it's oh, by the way.
I'm just gonna
And then
I'm just gonna
gets-
gradually get
it's
down
a bourbon that treats you right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, that's just great.
I think that I still stand by this being my favorite bourbon from last year. I mean, 1 year on,
Yeah.
and I still
My favorite from last year. I mean, I can't say from this year. Are you saying from 2018?
No, I'm saying 2017.
2017.
This
It's my
Weller
favorite
is
from
still
2017 and 2018 so far. But I haven't had these two either.
yeah.
Okay. Perry's giving some
I don't want to say too much.
Some foretelling.
I don't want to say too much.
Foreshadowing.
All right.
I'm going to save just a
I saved a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Just because I'm curious.
I was all in.
Right.
Whoops.
You were way all in.
Yeah. The nose isn't jumping out at me as much.
It's still pleasant.
Oh, it's
Oh.
still there. Still pretty good.
I
Yeah.
mean, you're like comparing perfection to
Perfection.
yeah, it's pretty close. Don't get me wrong.
The 17 does have just a little bit more.
Yeah,
I think it's a little bit more spice.
I still think that the 18 has a little bit too much floralness
Yes.
to
I
it.
was just going to say that.
Like it's almost a little bit too perfumey, I would
Mhm.
say. It's still, I mean, again, it's very good. Don't get me wrong. But I just kind of think that overall it's just not as enjoyable as
It's not as rounded.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very rounded. But comparatively to the 2017, the nose itself is not as rounded as the other.
I'll be curious to see what it's like 3 or 4 months after you've opened it.
Mm-hmm.
Because both of the ones that you've tried at this point have been fresh cracks.
Yeah.
So.
And unfortunately, I mean, there's no real way for me to, do a direct comparison between last year's and this year's in terms of like, how long it's been open in the bottle.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that this year's is as good as last year's.
I don't think so either. And I think you hit it right on the head a little bit that it's a little too perfumey.
Mm-hmm.
That right on the tip of the, like on the front, you're like, am I having perfume?
It's still really good.
No, it absolutely is. I don't think so. This has done so well for so many people in their best of 2018 list. I just don't think that it's good enough to be up there in that realm.
In the
Yeah.
2017?
2018.
Yeah, to be...
No, I'm saying like I don't think that
just
it's
out
good
of
enough to
2018.
out
Okay.
of this year's releases. I don't think that it's quite good enough to be in the top 5,
Yes.
top 3 or whatever.
Mhm.
Could it be top 10? Maybe. I don't know. I still have to kind of go back and figure all of that out. But that being said, I'm not upset with this
Not at all.
by any
Yeah.
means.
I've already actually done my best of 2018, just of the bottles that I personally kept. And I'm going to make a post before this episode comes out, so I'll just go ahead and tell you how it went. But I had C918 first, and then I had Booker's 30th second. I still think this would come in third out of those, which says
Really?
a lot. Yeah. But it's really good. Now, if 2017's release was this year's, it would probably be fighting C918 for first,
Oh, yeah.
if not definitely taking it.
Yeah.
It's still great. I still have a chance to ruin it with the stag here in a minute. We'll find
I
out.
was gonna say
But,
you haven't tried it yet.
but it is good. The perfumey bit is strong. I think maybe if anything happens to this bottle where keeping it open kind of dulls down that perfumey note to it, it's
right
great.
up there.
Yeah.
Well, I've already gone on and nosed the George T. Stagg here. But
Ooh.
and there it is.
Yep.
Oh man.
Where you're kind of questioning on the 18 WLW.
Yes.
There is no question with this one.
No.
None.
Not at all.
I mean, it is so in your face good. Like you're just like, yes.
It's like George T. Stagg walked into a room and said, I'm here. I know I'm great. Like, don't come talk to me.
That's it.
Like, it's fine. I know I'm great. You don't need to say, oh, I'm your biggest fan. I know.
Doesn't need any explanation.
He knows.
Yeah, he came in here, took every single mic off the mic stand, dropped it, and left.
Yeah,
Like, it's just
exactly.
it's that good.
He ruined all of my equipment. Dadgum.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's great.
it's so brown sugary and caramelly and I
Yes.
mean, it like there's a dark chocolate note in there too that kind of peeks through a little bit, but I mean, I'm so enamored with this year's stag.
This nose is very good.
Yeah. Well, let's taste it before I go any further.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be so much more punchy than it is.
No, it's
And
so
it's-
pleasant.
Sits right on the edge of that, though.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
Yeah.
it's just done right, man. That's good.
I think it is leaps and bounds better than this year's Weller.
Yes.
Honestly, I do.
I agree with that.
It's funny because
It's a step above I would say the 17 Weller.
I kind of would have to agree with you there.
I'm not saying like it's a very small step.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
But what the Weller doesn't have is more of the barrel influence and more of those darker notes of coffee, of like roasted chestnut
I think so. I think that's exactly what that is.
and chocolate.
Yeah.
This is like the best pecan pie you've ever had,
Yeah.
made into
Like the candied.
yeah.
It's funny how we're spending more time talking about this one as opposed to the other two, because I think that this is the one that grabs your attention the most.
This one also makes me think the most.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like I'm much more of a fan of the profile from the 17 than I am this generally.
Yeah.
But I think I would still take this over that. Again, kind of like a marginal difference. But
Yeah.
this is just, it's great.
It's funny, though, because, like, this year's Stag is better than last year's Stag. But last year's Weller is better than this year's Weller. Like, it's weird how it kind of flip-flopped between the two. This is such a strong contender for me for best bourbon of the year. I mean, it is. I know, like it's.
Out of what I've had, yeah.
I mean, it's so up there with everything. And honestly, it kind of seems to blow most of it away. And sure, I know it's allocated, and most people aren't going to be able to get it and everything. But honestly, if we're talking about what some of my best pours from 2018 have been, this is the one that I keep going back to. It's the one that I think, aside from maybe the Elijah Craig C918, this is the one that just I can't get out of my head in terms of like, oh, I think I know what's
Yeah.
like. I definitely feel like this is up there for me. I've also only had one sip of it, so I'm excited for myself.
Yeah, it's great.
I would really like to have this with a cigar. I think it would go very well with a
pairs
cigar.
so well with
Yeah,
a cigar.
with a cigar and maybe like a steak.
Yes. It's one of those bourbons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've ever watched Parks and Rec, it's like the scene where they, instead of Ron Swanson's birthday, they freak him out because he's going to have all these people screaming "Happy Birthday"
Yep.
with the balloons and cake, and then they stick him in a room with a steak.
Yep.
And then he just
And
has this whiskey.
and-
This
Yeah.
is that whiskey I would
Yeah.
want for that.
Oh yeah. This is, and it sounds like such a cliche.
Except he'd want Lagavulin.
Lagavulin, yeah.
But
Yeah, I can't do the peat. I'd take this.
yeah.
I'd take this.
I totally agree.
I don't even know what I was going to say. It's really good. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, me
I
too.
just
I'm gonna save that for last.
I was going to say I think
I
I
have,
have to
like-
do the same.
I have like one sip left of everything. And I'm
Yeah, a
going
little
to
bit.
switch the 17 with the 18.
Swan's got the tiniest little bit of the 17 left, but you know what you can do, Swan?
Oh no,
You can have a little bit more.
I'll
Swan.
be back for that. I'll show up one night asking for my free refill.
Sir, can I have a refill?
Hey, honey, Swan's here.
What's he doing here?
Please, sir, can I have a refill? Can I have another? Can I have a refill, please?
Oh man.
Anyway, well, I think that about does it for our little surprise section here.
A huge
On the
surprise
episode.
indeed, man.
If you want to go check out the video version of this too, you can head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. And for as little as $1 a month, you get to see our bright, shining faces. And
really,
the fairly beige wall behind us too right now. There will be art up there soon, I promise.
Yeah.
But
and essentially, this entire video is our jaws just like, no.
it's just hitting the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for watching, Patreon. Later. So that moves us into one of our final segments on the show, Tips and Bits, where we recommend things. So, guys, what kind of tips and bits do you have this week?
I just listened to the podcast where you guys said that everyone forgets the tips and bits.
And
guess who's there now?
That would be Swan.
Oh, no, I got a good one. I'll start. Been watching Superstore. Have you ever seen that?
I have seen it. I've not really... I liked it, but I didn't like it enough to continue with it. Do you like it a lot because it's basically your workplace?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's funny because the story is just, it's kind of okay. It's not fantastic, but then every once in a while they do these harsh cuts to where there's a customer just doing something so outlandishly stupid. Whoever wrote that show is like, what if a customer did this? And I'm looking at it like, that happened last week. It's just...
that's not that crazy.
Yeah, that happens. So it's just funny for me, but I think unless you worked a retail environment for a good while, some of the humor might go over your head, but
Sure.
it's pretty good.
Gotcha. All right, mine is... I'm acting like it's this huge thing. It's really not. It really isn't, guys.
Drum roll, please.
No, have you played Drake's Uncharted?
No,
this
I
is
have not.
a throwback Thursday kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's funny that it is Thursday.
Hey,
so
it is
that works
Thursday.
perfectly.
Spoilers.
But Drake's Uncharted, man. I just recently had started playing that again, the remastered version on PS4.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just like an adventure, Indiana Jones kind of. You just go and the controls aren't that hard. It's just you just enjoy
That's
it.
nice. I like a video game where I can basically do anything without having to go through 1,000 tutorials.
Essentially, it's like a movie that you just kind of assist with. But it's really good. Anyway, Drake's Uncharted. You guys should go play that again. Play the whole collection.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's such an odd, tips and bits for me, but
Well, that's okay.
No, they're doing a lot of those
it's a good
remastered
throw.
things.
Yeah, and it's been remastered for
Yeah, they just did Spyro.
forever.
They
Yeah.
did.
Spyro is one of those games I never thought I'd see again, and as soon as I did, I'm like, I'm kind of excited.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, I mean...
And they're doing Crash Bandicoot, too.
They are, yeah. Well, a couple of years ago, too, I got a Nintendo 2DS, and the very first thing I played on it was Ocarina of Time. And then, played Majora's Mask afterwards, too. And, I mean, I love Legend of Zelda, but, they were remastered versions and everything.
Have you played the Switch version?
No, I've not yet.
Nintendo Switch Zelda?
No. I know everybody says it's amazing. I'm a year behind on the Switch because everybody
For the
else
record,
is
I'm a year behind on the Switch, too. I just know somebody
that's
that's
mainly
played
because
it.
I don't have it.
Yeah, I don't
know.
have it either. I just know somebody that has it and has brought it over to my house, and I'm like,
This is really good.
yeah, this is cool.
A couple of things. One, so if you're this is so weird, and I didn't know that it even existed until about a week ago. But Jeff Goldblum was on the Late Late Show with James Corden, and he was playing with a jazz band, and he has a jazz album out that is really, really good.
All right.
And I love Jeff Goldblum. I think he's just one of the weirdest and funniest people to ever exist.
He is very odd.
And check out his album. It's called The Capitol Studio Sessions. Yeah, that's what it is. And then the other thing, I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse the other day. Holy crap, that movie is so good. Maybe the best Spider-Man movie ever. Period.
I've been told it is.
It's
I haven't seen it. But.
So good.
Strictly for the, just being from a creative background,
Yeah.
That
Oh yeah.
looks amazing.
Absolutely.
You mean it's better than Andrew Garfield? Most things are. It's fine.
I don't. Even,
I
you
don't
mean
wanna
it's better
talk
than
about
Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, that third movie was great. Did you see that singing sequence?
I don't want to talk about it. Anyway,
You mean it's better than?
You mean it's better than the 1970s Spider-Man? Doesn't matter. Yeah, Spider-Verse is really, really good. Go check it out. So that about wraps it up for us this week on This Is My Bourbon podcast. Curtis and Swan, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, per usual.
Thank you, Perry.
Yeah,
I mean,
seriously,
please, man.
look at the table. Patreon, look at the table.
Well, the videos.
Yeah.
The video's done now.
Well, they saw it.
That was awesome.
Where can people find you on social media if they would like to do that?
I suck at keeping up with my personal stuff, but
I thought you were going to say, like, I suck at gmail.com.
Oh, wow. Okay.
no, but I'm gonna have to register that after this episode.
Probably taken.
No, just at the Bourbon Finder on Instagram. I've not jumped over to any other platforms yet, even though I've had a couple people ask. That's about it for me.
Yeah, mine is Kurt Con on Instagram and at Kurt_Con15 at Twitter.
Yeah, if you want to follow me, I am at pritter1492 on social media, all across the board. And then if you would also like to follow the show, we are at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. What?
Also, thanks for the shout out, Swan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
Great, yeah. 1792, man.
Yeah, I kind of forget that it's on my shelf, and then as soon as I find it, I'm like, this is great.
Good stuff.
Yeah, at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And then you can also check out all of our merch at bourbonshop.threadless.com. Through the end of the year, of course, we have a big sale going on for the 1-year anniversary of the podcast and all that good stuff. If you would also like to become a patron of the show, which please do, because that helps us out so much, you can head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. For as little as $1 a month, you can keep the lights on in the new bourbon studio.
Yeah,
So-
keep the lights on, keep the walls beige.
It's accessible beige, okay?
Accessible.
That's the name of the paint.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. What else do we do here? 5-star rate and review on iTunes, please. That really helps us get to more listeners and get the name out there a little bit more. Thank you all, of course, so much for listening. We have, well, actually, this is the last episode of 2018. So we got an episode coming out pretty much on New Year's Day. So be on the lookout for that. I guess we'll see you guys in the new year. Man.
New Year, happy holidays.
Yeah,
Man.
all that good stuff. Hope you enjoyed your Christmas. I know this is coming out the day after Christmas and all that. Enjoy your Kwanzaa, your Hanukkah, your
Any holiday you
whatever
enjoy.
holiday it is that you celebrate. Happy holidays to the listeners of This Is My Bourbon podcast. Thank you all so much. We'll see you in the new year. But until then, I'm Perry,
I'm Curtis.
I'm Swan.
and this is My Bourbon podcast.